TV's Robbers Unwoke. TV's Robbers Unwoke. He's unwoke.
Welcome to it. It is TV's Rob is Unwoke. I am your very unhumble host, TV's Rob, and boy, do we have a show for you today. Oh, there is so much stuff to talk about. So I can't get to it all myself, so I brought in somebody who can, somebody who keeps their fingers on the pulse of current events and the news. You know her, you love her,
or you hate her.
If you don't love her, I'm married to her. She's my lovely wife with her cell phone going off in the middle of a recording.
I'm sorry.
My lovely wife, Nikki. Nikki, what's up?
What's up?
Would you mind muting your damn phone?
I did. Hey, it's been quiet this whole night, so.
I was building up to a great intro.
You did good. You did good.
Fuck it up with your phone.
No. Sometimes the fuck up is good.
Okay.
It shows that, we're cool.
We're cool?
I don't know. I'm just tired. I'm sleepy.
All right, so as we were putting the finishing touches and wrapping this prep work up with a bow, Nikki, you came across something that I said, go ahead and save, and we'll actually kick the show off with this, because this is absolutely asinine. The generation that I've spoken out against in the past, that we all seem to just loathe and dislike with the intensity of a billion white-hot burning suns. Gen Z, the most worthless generation alive today, apparently has proven themselves to be even more worthless than what we actually thought previously. So, Nikki, why don't you give us the details on what Gen Z is failing to do now?
Well, more than 2 out of 3 Americans admit that they're taking a nap on a job.
What?
Yeah. That's 80% of them are Gen Zers that say that they've taken a nap on the job. That's according to a new study by Plush Beds. Out of 1,000 Americans surveyed, Gen Zers were found to be the guiltiest of getting literally some shut-eye at work. Millennials weren't far behind at 70%. And the crazy thing is it didn't mess up anything. If anything, 53% of the nappers actually got a promotion.
What?
So it makes you kind of wonder what they were doing in the first place that they deemed capable of a promotion. They must not be doing very much.
That is absolutely asinine. I mean, look, by age and birth year, the way that these experts have broken down which people fall into which generation, I technically fall into that millennial category.
No. You're Gen X.
See, I identify more with Gen X. I've definitely, my life has panned out much more like a Gen Xer.
Well, as my husband, I dub you. I will dub you D-Generation X.
There
and
you
if
go.
You don't like it, I have 2 words for you.
All right. I'll take it. I will say I am guilty. I have taken a nap at work before. I have done it.
I can see that.
But when you think of what I do for a living, you kind of can't blame me.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, okay, when you're working in radio and you work overnights, there's a way to sneak a 5, 10, 15-minute nap, a couple times an hour.
Oh, yeah, definitely during long segments. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, during overnights especially, or if you're producing a large national radio show and you decide, you know what, I've already been up since 3 a.m., I'm going to shut my eyes for 30 minutes in another studio that's dark. I'm going to bring a body pillow and a regular pillow with me. It's happened in the past, but, I also had other people working with me, or it was during a time where I can get away with it. What are these people doing that they could fall asleep on the job and actually see themselves getting a promotion?
Yeah, they don't even say. It doesn't even elaborate on that. So that's even scarier. I mean, what job are they working that it's better that they're unconscious? I mean, obviously it doesn't require anything of much skill. I would hope that these people aren't like, sitting there working nuclear power plants. They're, right, doing anything like traffic control, air traffic control. They can't be doing that.
Wow. Yeah, that would be bad. First and foremost, I didn't realize that Gen Zers actually work.
I know. I think that's why it's skewed that way. Maybe it's because they take a very small sample of them.
That's very possible. That is so very possible.
But I can see them very much admitting to, yeah, I sleep on the job. I could just see them go, yeah.
Yeah, they don't seem like the type that
They don't care.
They don't have the filter that says, maybe I shouldn't admit to this.
Well, I think they're more entitled than anything. You know, they can get away with, they feel like they can get away with anything. And if they don't, then somebody else is to blame. It's never their fault.
Oh, that is so very true.
It's just, you know, it started with the boomers doing it to Gen X, which is me and you. We were a bit entitled, but we weren't completely self-absorbed. The millennials, they were pretty bad, but Gen Zers, they have very little imagination and think that they are so incredibly talented, and they're not. They really aren't. I mean, they're probably some of the most bizarre people.
Absolutely. Oh, God, yeah. Absolutely, yeah.
And I mean, it's going to get worse. Think about the generation coming up afterwards with this whole COVID thing. They're saying that this is really messed up kids. So I can't even imagine what's coming up behind. I mean, it's going to be very, very frightening. Because, you know, the more these kids become withdrawn and they don't have any sense of morals or ethics or view people as people, it becomes, you know, society becomes a lot scarier. Like you and I were talking about that one day. You've got these knockout games and just stuff that you just are like, wow, I can't believe these people are doing this. They don't value human life at all.
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not. So there's so much other stuff going on in the world. But I wanted to, before we get to the serious stuff, I wanted to rehash something that you had showed me earlier today. And that is this study that came out saying that 3 in 5 Americans are exhausted, say they feel the most tired they have ever felt in their lives. And even worse, over half of those say they think no amount of sleep can cure their lack of focus, according to a new study.
Brought to you by Monster Energy Drink.
I mean...
Oh my God.
I mean...
Oh, it's almost like one of those, I guess, the paid programming crap that you would watch overnight. It's just, what?
Yeah, exactly. Now, to finish the results of this study, and then we'll kind of break it down, of the 2,000 people surveyed, nearly 60% said spending so much time inside since the pandemic began in early 2020 has permanently diminished their energy. Well, here's an idea. Go outside, you dumbasses. But the study also found other contributors to this energy dilemma to be poor sleep schedule, long work hours, prolonged screen time, and the lack of a routine.
I'll agree with, I know for a fact the screen time, that really, really messes you up.
Absolutely.
That's why I try not to touch the phone. If I really have to go to sleep, for some reason it does something to your mind, you just cannot go back to sleep.
And you have a crappy sleep schedule as it is.
Oh yeah, I have the worst.
You know, and prolonged screen time. I mean, for me, I'm looking at a computer monitor or several computer monitors at the same time for 8, 10, 12, 14 hours a day. Easy. So by the end of the day, my eyes are absolutely tired. But the thing to take away from this is not so much the, hey, people are feeling tired and these are the contributing factors. The point of this is Monster Energy Drink paid to have a study done about people and their energy levels and focus. So I guess they could craft a marketing campaign around this. Hey.
I'm guessing. I mean, it's about as weird as having Pfizer actually have a study to find out what horrible side effects from their medications. I mean, it's just bizarre.
This is Pfizer paying to sponsor news reports, news programming.
Ooh, yeah.
That's what this is. This is the equivalent of what Pfizer is actually doing in paying money to these media corporations to sponsor their news programming.
I actually have like 2 spots that I have to run during the national. That's Pfizer. One of them is the pushing for the teens and children to get the COVID shot, and I don't know what the other one is. I try not to pay attention to them.
When you wonder if you're out there and you're wondering why is the media not really talking about all the bad stuff about COVID vaccines, look at the companies that are getting money from Pfizer and look at the companies that are not getting money from Pfizer. The messaging will tell you exactly which one is which. Yeah. Trust me.
This whole thing is just a mess. Like, I was reading today what Dr. Oz says that Fauci needs to be fired. Wow. Well, Dr. Oz said that.
Welcome to the party, Dr. Oz. You know what it is? It's because he's planning on running for Senate.
It is. So that's even what they said.
This is a way to grandstand and say, this motherfucker should go.
Okay, you know what? If Dr. Phil comes out, Fauci's in some deep shit.
Okay, but Dr. Phil isn't a real doctor.
I know that.
I mean, I'm a doctor.
He's
in the
probably,
way that Dr. Phil is. Well, and I'm saying that Fauci needs to be fired.
I think Fauci's about the same as Dr. Phil when you think about it. I mean, he hasn't practiced. I mean, what he's done, like the equivalent of like he has done monkey puppy torture.
Yes, that's about it. That's all he's done.
He's a sick person.
TV's Rob here. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. First and foremost, it's free. We all like free, right? There are creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer, making it a lot easier than the way that I go about it. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more, saving you the time, energy, and effort of having to do it yourself. It is a pain. You can make money from your podcast as well with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. And if you start up a podcast using Anchor, I'll be your first guest. One news organization that you can bet your ass is taking money from Pfizer would be CNN.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And CNN, let me tell you, they have made a huge, they got a huge fish today. They caught a big fish.
They did.
Chris Wallace, you know him. You probably dislike him from Fox News. The longtime host of Fox News Sunday and political commentator and contributor and blah, 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 blah. The big political guy at Fox News. He's leaving. Mm-hmm. He announced Sunday, today, on his last program. Oh, guess what? Today's my last day.
And here's the weird thing about that story is within, I don't know, what was
4 hours?
No, within like 45 minutes, actually, from running, and I actually recorded and voiced over that story, they left it as he was very vague. He wants his fans to stay tuned and move forward with them. And they, at the end of it, and he says nothing more. He doesn't elaborate. 45 minutes later, CNN Plus. It's just, what the hell?
Yep, he is going to... I love the way that CNN Business wrote this story. Check this out. Fox News anchor Chris Wallace, one of the few high-profile news personalities who retained a reputation of integrity as Fox leaned hard into right-wing and conspiratorial programming, announced Sunday that he is departing the network and joining CNN Plus to host a weekday show.
So I guess Shepard Smith never existed? Because he was, yeah.
Well, he left. So.
Oh, I know, but I mean, they're making it sound like ever. They both were there around
as
the same...
Fox leaned into right-wing and conspiratorial programming, in other words, during Trump.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't pick up what you're putting down. I'm not one of those, what is it? They say, what is it? QAnon?
Exactly.
God, don't even get me started on that.
Okay, so CNN Plus isn't even a thing yet. It's a streaming service launching in early 2022.
Mm-hmm.
And according to the press release, Wallace will host a weekday show featuring interviews with newsmakers across politics, business, sports, and culture.
Mm-hmm.
He said in a statement, "I am thrilled to join CNN Plus. After decades in broadcast and cable news, not being able to live up to my father's legacy, I'm excited to explore the world of streaming, where I have to answer to nobody and don't have to say anything that is actually true or fact check anything. Wow, this is great."
Now, you see, that completely contradicts the story that I did earlier, because he said that he never felt, while working at Fox News, that he was ever questioned or ever had his guests filtered or anything. So, what the hell? Which is it? Was Fox, overbearing and made you, censor you?
Well, I should say he didn't actually say the things that I said.
Oh.
He said, after decades in broadcasting cable news, I am excited to explore the world of streaming. I look forward to the new freedom and flexibility streaming affords in interviewing major figures across the news landscape and finding new ways to tell stories.
Yeah, that really did well for Tommy Lahren.
But what I said, what I said, he said, actually makes a whole lot of sense, because when you look at Chris Wallace, you're looking at a guy who never lived up to the reputation of his father.
Nope.
Everybody knows who Mike Wallace is. Hardly anybody knows who Chris Wallace is.
I only know him because he used to go on with Mike Gallagher, and they would both argue back and forth back in the day.
Yeah, but by a move like this, I mean, first off, you're willing to leave the #1 cable news network and sign on with a streaming service from one of your competitors who you've been slaughtering in the ratings for years. And Lord knows if that CNN Plus will actually be around for a long time.
And again, it just did wonders for Tommy Lahren. I mean, she's on Fox streaming?
Yeah, she's on Fox Nation, and on occasion she gets to make appearances on real Fox News. And
yeah,
let me tell you, when she's on TV, it is absolutely riveting. But I will say, this is a big get for CNN.
Oh, yeah.
Because I guess Chris Wallace is considered a respected journalist, and right now CNN could use all of those that they can get.
Oh yeah, it's a dumpster fire over there. I mean, it makes MSNBC just like, oh, nothing there, nothing to see.
Well, luckily MSNBC dumped their own dumpster fire.
Yeah.
With Brian Williams signing off from MSNBC for the last time with a nasty goodbye and absurd tributes, saying on his final broadcast that he's not a liberal or a conservative, but an institutionalist fearful of the darkness that has spread across America, while equating Trump supporters to arsonists and murderers that frighten him as an aging volunteer fireman. Because apparently he's now a volunteer firefighter.
Okay, he needs to, he's drunk. He needs to go home.
And that's why you had him on at 11 o'clock at night. Saying that he only has regrets that are too few to mention. Oh, really? Regrets that are too few to mention?
Well, I think that it's very well documented, all the lies.
Exactly. The scandal-ridden journalist compared himself to George Bailey, as before and during his final show, he was inundated with lovely testimonials that referred to him as a gift to the country filled with grace, integrity, kindness, smarts, wisdom, and wit.
Well, if you keep reporting something over and over again and you bury the truth, I guess it eventually, the people that actually pay attention.
Yeah. He says after 28 years of working for Peacock, for the Peacock and NBC, he is worried about the darkness on the edge of town that spread to the main roads and highways and neighborhoods, the local bar, the bowling alley, the school board, and the grocery store. Yeah. Demanding that they be answered for. Williams attacked voters for having sent to Congress people who've decided to join the mob to burn it all down with us inside. That should scare you to no end as much as it scares an aging volunteer fireman.
My grandfather was a volunteer firefighter, and then he actually became a real one. But yeah.
I mean, think about this, people. If he referred to himself as an aging volunteer fireman.
Would you want an aging volunteer fireman?
Nobody who is actually a volunteer firefighter calls himself a volunteer fireman. They all call themselves, what, a volunteer firefighter. This should tell you right here, this guy was lying on his final day on the job.
Well, he wanted to go out in a blaze of glory.
Well, you know what? If he wants to go out in a blaze of glory, do it for Dale.
I guess.
I'm just going to leave it at that. Do it for Dale. All right. But back to CNN. Oh, this dumpster fire of a quote unquote news outlet. You have Chris Cuomo, the human piece of garbage that he is, who finally gets fired for the wrong thing, mind you. But he finally got fired. But now we're finding out all sorts of fun facts in terms of how many people he harassed, how many asses he grabbed. You know, he probably grabbed more asses than his brother did. His brother, of course, got fired for the wrong thing, but hey, at least he got removed from office. Don Lemon is now under fire because he's a human piece of garbage.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I can't say that because he's black and gay. Oh, screw it. He's a human piece of garbage because of his whole thing with the what was it that he was involved? The Juicy Smouye.
Mm-hmm.
Jussie Smollett. Oh.
And it's funny, Smollett threw him right under the bus. So, a lot of good to him.
You know, it's really good that I'm glad that Juicy Smouye, as Dave Chappelle calls him, threw him under the bus, because it's about time we found out some of the other things about Don Lemon. I mean, Don Lemon already has a sexual harassment or assault case against him, but of course nobody's talking about it.
No, of course not.
So you have a network with these two guys as pillars. Well, one of them gone, but Don Lemon is still there. Now we find out that a CNN staffer has been charged with enticing mothers and underage daughters to engage in unlawful sexual activity.
Yeah. Ugh.
John Griffin, 44, was arrested on Friday by the FBI, according to federal prosecutors.
Mm-hmm.
He attempted to persuade parents to allow him to train their underage daughters to be sexually submissive.
Oh, my God.
According to the indictment from April to July of 2020, Griffin utilized the messaging applications Kik and Google Hangouts to communicate with people purporting to be parents of minor daughters, conveying to them, among other ideas, that a woman is a woman regardless of her age.
No.
And that women should be sexually subservient and inferior to men. In June of 2020, Griffin advised a mother of 9 and 13-year-old daughters that the mother's responsibility was to see that her older daughter was trained properly. Griffin later transferred over $3,000 to the mother for plane tickets so the mother and her 9-year-old daughter could fly from Nevada to Boston Logan's Airport. The statement says, the mother and child flew to Boston in July of 2020, where Griffin picked them up in his Tesla and drove them to his Ludlow home. At the house, the daughter was directed to engage in, and did engage in, unlawful sexual activity.
Oh, God. Ugh.
This is the type of people CNN is employing, ladies and gentlemen.
And yet we're this bad guys. Good God.
I mean, what was it that Jake Tapper famously said? That was a train wreck, that was a garbage fire. That was a hot mess inside of a garbage fire in front of a train wreck. Something like that.
Something like that.
I mean, that is... I have to find that exact quote. That was a hot mess inside a dumpster fire, inside a train wreck. That is what CNN actually is. A hot mess inside a dumpster fire, inside of a train wreck. And yet somehow they're still on the air. The people that are working there are still making bukus of money. Don Lemon is still on the air somehow.
I find it funny that these people that do these things to children or think sexual about children, they're safe. You know, until recently, what that one professor or assistant professor was saying, trying to justify pedophilia
by calling it a minor attracted person, attracted people.
Yeah, and it's people like that. I don't get it. It's always on that side. You never see that on the right, ever.
That's not to say it doesn't happen, but God knows. I mean,
not like this.
but the fact that you look at this one news organization with this many instances of things going wrong, there's something seriously wrong. And for Chris Wallace to drop Fox to go there, I mean, what the hell is he thinking? Well, I'm sure he's thinking, hey, I get to do whatever I want, and ain't nobody going to tell me nothing, and I could be just as radical left as I want to be. Because you know that he's been playing a role for the last 18 years at Fox News.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody knew that he was, to the left, but he would surprise you from time to time and really hold some people's feet to the fire. Now he doesn't even have to do that. Now he can just lob those softballs that everybody loves, and you'll notice that his entire body of work will completely change. But at the same time, I don't expect anybody who actually listens to this podcast to subscribe to CNN Plus.
No.
So at this point, we could just say, happy trails, Chris Wallace.
Bye, Felicia.
Let's pause a moment here to talk about protein bars. Do you like a good snack throughout the day, but you'd rather not pack on the pounds while doing it? Well, hey, I've got great news. Built Bar is here to save the day. They've got so many flavors. There's something for everyone. When you talk to a Built Bar fan, like me, they're passionate about their favorites. They've got amazing flavors like coconut, which is death for me, but hey, maybe it works for you. Mint brownie, which I love. Double chocolate, salted caramel, cookies and cream, which is great, and more. Hey, if you can't pick a flavor right off the bat, you can get a mixed box. What is a mixed box? You'll get 2 of each of their 9 regular flavors. Built Bars have up to 18 grams of protein, and they're 180 calories or less. Only 4 to 5 grams of sugar, and only 4 or 5 net carbs. But you wouldn't know it by tasting them, because they taste amazing. You can take care of your sweet tooth and still be healthy. How about that? And now you can get your Built Bars even faster. How? Check this out. The new URL is built.com. It's no longer builtbar.com. You get to save 3 letters. Think about the time it takes for you to type in BAR. Now you don't have to do it. And for you, the loyal audience of TV's Rob is Unwoke, Built Bar is giving you a discount off your first order. Go to built.com and use the promo code TV's Rob to save 10% off your first order. Use promo code TV's Rob for 10% off at built.com.
He's on woke.
The fight that people have to stay relevant or even become relevant in this day and age is absolutely amazing to me.
I'm glad that I'm irrelevant. There's no amount of anything that would make me corrupt myself and do. I mean, I don't get it. I can't even wrap my mind around it at this point.
Honestly, I'm more I'm going to call it like I see it type of person.
Yeah.
If I find something is messed up, I'm going to say, hey, that's messed up.
Like Pablo Francisco. Hey, you put it out there.
You put it out
you
there.
put it out there.
So everybody who's listened to this podcast knows I'm a huge, huge Star Trek fan. And there is one thing in Star Trek that we all love to say about one particular character from Star Trek The Next Generation. One Wesley Crusher.
Shut up, Wesley.
Exactly.
Shut up, Wesley.
Shut up, Wesley? Shut up, Wesley.
Agreed.
Wesley is simply showing himself to be a
Agreed. Shut up, Wesley.
Wil Wheaton, the actor who portrayed young Wesley Crusher in Star Trek The Next Generation.
Not if I have a choice.
Shut up, Wesley.
Now we're going to be telling him to Shut up, Will. Can anybody guess why? Anybody?
You could just pretty much tack things on like a wheel and just spin it and throw a dart at it. That guy, he just does not know when to shut up.
Never mind hosting shows about Star Trek on YouTube and Paramount Plus, as it's called now, where he props up the terrible, terrible show known as Star Trek Discovery, or if you really look at it the way that everybody looks at, TNG, TOS, Void, DS9, this one would be called STD. And it really is like a venereal disease.
Wow.
But Wil Wheaton, the actor who made cameos on The Big Bang Theory as himself, because God knows you can't get him to play a character. The actor who portrayed young Wesley Crusher is now, of course, condemning Dave Chappelle's remarks about transgender people in his latest stand-up comedy act.
Is he just like all those others that didn't even watch it?
Probably.
Because, I mean, I don't get it. I just don't.
Dave Chappelle is a comedian who is going to do exactly what he does. He's always been that. But now that, he made jokes about one community that apparently is the most powerful out there. I mean, women should be pissed off at what's going on in women's collegiate sports and other things where transgenders are coming in and just taking over the show.
Yeah, feminism is dead, man.
But yet somehow the women don't even stand up to him, because obviously the smallest percentage of the population has the biggest power. Probably because they don't know what they are, so we don't know how to address them.
They're crazy. I mean, honestly, that people can get pissed off at me if they want to, but that is actually a registered mental illness in the DSM-R, gender dysmorphia. So I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. So Wil Wheaton coming out and, criticizing Dave Chappelle. Now he's also apologizing for his own past homophobia.
God.
Saying, for much of my teen years, I was embarrassingly homophobic. And it all started with that comedy special, Eddie Murphy's 1983 stand-up show, Delirious.
Really?
He's blaming Eddie Murphy for him being homophobic when he was a teenager.
Wasn't that racist?
Probably.
Yeah, that's
probably, racist. Yeah, you could probably consider this racist.
Yeah, he's blaming a black man for his problems.
In a lengthy social media post, he detailed a moment when he was young and said a slur referencing gay men in a locker room, a room full of gay men, no less. He said he was embarrassed and horrified and still thinks about it after all this time, offering up an apology nearly 30 years after the incident. Okay, first and foremost, I barely remember anything I did 30 years ago. I damn sure don't remember anything I said 30 years ago.
Well, I remember things I've done, but I'm so glad that social media and stuff wasn't around back then, because good God.
Exactly. Then he turned to Chappelle's comments in his Netflix special, The Closer, saying, for a transgender person, those jokes, in quotes, normalize hateful, ignorant, bigoted behavior towards them, he wrote. Then turning to those who defended Chappelle, seemingly because he is a person of color. And it's all okay because they were dehumanized by a black man. And the disingenuous argument that it's actually racist to hold Chappelle accountable for this, get the fuck out of here. Okay, so Wil Wheaton, let me ask you, what in the hell do you want to come out of this?
It's like he's virtue signaling. I don't know. I don't get it. It's like they go out there, smear themselves in napalm, and bam. I don't know what they're expecting. I really don't. I mean, it's bizarre.
Yeah, and it's funny because the picture that they used of Wil Wheaton in this article on NewYorkPost.com, he's wearing a lapel pin, that's rainbow colored. That is that is in the shape of the Vulcan hand salute for Live Long and Prosper that Spock made famous. Yeah, it's complete total virtue signaling by Wil Wheaton, who is just an idiot. I mean, and I'm looking at this post that he has. I mean, this is To quote Doc Thompson, so many words. So many words. I could spend 10 minutes reading this because it is that long. I mean, it is broken up into 4 different segments. It is long. It is huge.
Diarrhea of the keyboard.
Yeah. I mean, and the thing is that, of course, look, anybody can go on Twitter, anybody can go on Facebook, anybody can go on social media, and they could be a keyboard hero.
Yep.
Because you can hide behind that screen. Now, I want to see him go up to Dave Chappelle and say this to his face.
Of course
I
he
want to
would.
see him go up to Eddie Murphy and say this stuff to his face.
Yeah, it makes you kind of wonder, a lot of Hollywood people are doing this. I mean, is there something that they're gaining? Because I don't see what they're getting. I mean, they're not getting anything from the public. So it has to be something maybe in the entertainment industry that the virtue signal actually does something positive for them. Because otherwise, I mean, most people look at that and are like, what the hell's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Shut up.
Shut up, Wesley.
Shut up, Wesley. Shut up, Wesley.
Agreed.
Wesley is simply showing himself to be a
Agreed. Shut up, Wesley.
I mean, we don't care.
Exactly.
And Hollywood just doesn't get it. They don't get it. They never will get it. But we just aren't buying them what they're selling. I mean, their rhetoric and their movies. We don't want it. I mean, it enough. And they're starting to learn, sort of, kind
Are
of.
they?
Not really now. Actually, I know. No, they're not. Even Steven Spielberg doesn't get it. Nobody gets it.
No, I mean, proud franchises like Star Wars and Star Trek, even Indiana Jones, and now even James Bond are being sacrificed at the altar of wokeism.
Mm-hmm.
And the Brits, obviously.
They did not learn from Doctor Who.
Exactly.
Actually,
Why?
they're taking it a step further than Doctor Who.
Oh, yeah. They're not just doubling down. They're tripling down on this stuff now.
Mm-hmm.
Because now the famous spy, James Bond 007, could be non-binary.
I thought, you kind of already is, 0.1000.
Well, binary is ones and zeros. 007 is not binary.
You can make them that. That would be binary.
001. That would be binary. 002. I mean, it's already non-binary, but
Right.
now apparently, Britain's most famous spy, it could in the future be someone who considers themselves neither male or female, says Barbara Broccoli, one of the producers of the James Bond franchise, says future Bond could be non-binary, someone who considers themselves neither male or female, and usually prefers to be referred to as they rather than he or she. Like a Demi Lovato. That idiot. That could be your next James Bond.
Yeah, I mean, you have even some people that are on the fringe that typically would support stuff like this. They're like, no. This is a character that has been around forever. If you want to do this, make it someone else. You can't alter James Bond. You can't do it.
Yeah, I mean, he's the symbol of masculinity.
Yeah.
Now, this Barbara Broccoli actually controls the 007 franchise through her Eon production company. Also said that the next Bond may not be white. When asked if she thought 007 would always be male, she replied, I do, because I don't think we should be making films where women are playing men. I think we should be making more films about women. I think Bond will be a man, but non-binary perhaps. Most likely not white. We want the actor to be British, and British, as we know, can be many things.
Wow.
Yeah. Look, it's bad enough that in the last movie, apparently, spoiler alert, I haven't seen the last movie, but we all know this much, at least, that Daniel Craig's James Bond in that movie spent most of it not being known as 007. They already made a black woman 007. And they offer to give it back to James, and they're like, it's only a number. No, it's not only a number.
Wow.
The fact that they took the time to devalue the 007 code name for James Bond, to devalue it in that movie, just tells you that this franchise is being offered up on the altar of wokeism to be slaughtered in the name of, oh, please don't hate us for making movies filled with toxic masculinity for all of these years and making billions of dollars at the box office off of them. Please do not hate us for it. Forget about Sean Connery, Roger Moore, Pierce Brosnan, and even Daniel Craig, even though we all know that the Queen outlawed having a blonde Bond back in the 70s.
I was about to say that. I was actually about to say that. I mean, I figured they would go Idris Elba. Is that his name? Idris Elba?
Idris Elba, yeah.
Yeah, but it's too blonde. Too blonde.
Too blonde. But that's what James Bond is. That's what James Bond has always been. Now we're going to retool the entire franchise just to satisfy a small group of people?
Yeah, probably not even 1%. I mean, it's that small. You're not even going to have 1% of the population.
I mean, look, they've already tried to make a female James Bond-esque movie.
Yeah, it sucked.
It didn't work. So why are we even trying here? That's just absolutely ridiculous. Too.
Because they know they can keep forcing it down our throats. I mean, I think now because of COVID, they're starting to have to alter a little bit of what they're doing, because if whatever it is released, if it doesn't make a certain amount of money, it goes to streaming, which hurts the movies because they make a lot of the money with theaters. So it's really bad if they don't. I think, what is it, 7 million or 17 million, something around there, because it'll go straight to streaming, and they don't want that. They hate it. I think the only company that can actually, isn't it only Disney, the only one that can surpass that, get around it?
Basically.
Yeah. I mean, it's, we're glad when the movie fails, because that means we can watch it.
Yeah, we don't have to go to the theater.
Exactly.
But if the next James Bond movie, the next 007 movie, features a non-binary, let's just say features Demi Lovato as your new 007 James Bond, is anybody really going to go see that?
No, actually, I think you would have to pay people to see it. You could probably give it away.
And people would still say no.
Yeah, I mean, you put it free. I mean, constantly playing. Instead of signing off at night, TV, or putting in a paid commercial programming, just play that. It would still, people would turn it off.
It's like STD being put on CBS TV and actually garnering the second to lowest ratings of everything on CBS network television. The only show that it surpassed in ratings was one that was actually canceled in the middle of the season. It's a lot like HBO Max that put Wonder Woman 1984 available on Christmas Day, the same day that it was being released in theaters.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, hey, it's on HBO Max, so if you want to watch it, if you're an HBO Max subscriber, well, gee, I just saved myself, $20 or $30.
Yeah, and that's really, you would think you'd start to see a little bit of a turning of the tide, and there is a little bit, but not quite as much. I mean, I think Spielberg got dinged pretty bad with West Side Story. I don't know what in the hell possessed him to think that would work. I mean,
well, what did Spielberg do with West Side Story? You have to tell the story here.
Well, if you've watched any Disney or Nickelodeon within the past 15 years, it's that. And of course, they've had to change races, nationalities. It's very agenda driven. It doesn't make sense. I mean, it's people, I've read that people even that were given free tickets to it walked out in the rain. It's that bad. Critics were just blowing it up. I mean, that's bad. That's really bad. I mean, think about it. They did Cats, which was horrific. I mean, it's almost nightmarish. What the hell is wrong with West Side Story that people actually got up and walked out in the middle of a storm? That's bad. That's really, really, really bad. I mean, for this weekend, they were the top movie, but they drastically did not even come close to what they thought they were going to hit. Not even close. So, it seems people are very slowly starting to learn. Kind of.
Oh, so, gotcha. So the musical's original theme of white versus Latin racial strife, in New York in 1957. Obviously, we had to regurgitate that. And of course, Spielberg first expressed interest in the project when Trump was president. And this new West Side Story was conceived in no small part as a liberal message movie designed to address and heal those racial divisions. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it was another movie built and sacrificed at the altar of wokeism that some people have finally started tuning away from, which, thank goodness. Most critics are actually trying to say that this new version is better than the 1961 original.
When did they come out? Because these must be people that are trying to actually, fan the flames, try to get it to see. Because, honestly, when it first registered, I started seeing tweet after tweet from professional movie critics saying this thing is horrific. It's...
Well, you have a lot of critics out there that are going to be all about being woke and pushing the agenda, just like magazines out there who believe in rewarding quitters.
Oh God, yeah.
With, I don't know, accolades like Athlete of the Year.
Do we live in opposite land? Because the one who won that wasn't even participating.
Well, she participated in the individual events.
Oh, okay.
Didn't win a gold, mind you. But,
totally screwed her team over.
Exactly. But, hey, guess what? Your 2021 Time Magazine Athlete of the Year is Simone Biles. Yay!
Yeah.
Yay! The face of the American women's gymnastic team. The athlete who abandoned her team at the 2020 and 2021 Olympic Games, saying that she contracted the yips, or the what was that term?
The yips? The yips?
No, there was a very specific term for it. I have to go back and find this really quick because it was absolutely ridiculous.
It almost...
The twisties. It was the twisties.
The twisties.
Because, oh my goodness, she could not handle... apparently, there were a lot of contributing factors that made it to where she couldn't perform at the 2020 and 2021 games. So she decided to take her ball and basically go home, and left her team hanging, saying she needed a mental health day, which, if you don't feel up to competing, you shouldn't have taken the spot to begin with. But for Time Magazine to reward her for this behavior is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, it would be like, giving Tanya Harding that accolade back with the whole Nancy Kerrigan
thing. You know what? I think Tanya Harding would have been more deserving than Simone Biles.
I was actually thinking the same thing. Simone Biles has actually elevated Tanya Harding to where she is actually someone that puts forth effort and follow through. My God, she really had that gumption. She wanted to compete. She wanted that medal. She's going to take Nancy out.
Exactly. Simone just said, screw it. I need a mental health day. Now,
I don't want
to. Her decision received some backlash on social media, but was also met with lots of support, saying, I wouldn't change anything for the world, said Biles, who left Japan with a silver medal from the team competition that she didn't compete in. So did she really get that silver? No. and an individual bronze on the balance beam because she decided to compete in one event, supposedly the event that she would have dominated, but she got a bronze. She said, saying, I gave an outlet for athletes to speak up about their mental health and their well-being and learn that you can put yourself as a person first before the athlete.
Yeah, and then she blamed it on being sexually abused by, I don't know, back years ago.
Yeah, by Larry Nassar.
Yeah, you know what? I'm sorry. If you're an actual Olympic athlete, the amount of training and just backbreaking labor you have to go through mentally and physically, yeah, you're not going to be there and be like, oh my God, I'm remembering when I was touched when this happened years ago. It's an excuse, and it actually diminishes people that have been abused to actually do that, to say stuff like that. That's so stupid, and it's irresponsible, and really makes her a piece of crap.
Yeah, so they really honestly didn't, I guess they didn't really award her Athlete of the Year so much as Participant of the Year and Whiny Bitch Advocate of the Year. She made the damn sure didn't deserve the Athlete of the Year accolade. But everything else, sure, you can give her all of those other titles.
Yeah, she was number one woman talked about on Twitter. I could see that. All right.
Well, yeah, because, if you were...
Yeah, female athlete, number one. Well, yeah, of course. I could see that. I mean, not necessarily being talked about well in any positive light, but yeah, she was talked about.
Well, and Megan Rapinoe had already outstayed her welcome back in 2015.
I don't even think she made the top 5. Rapinoe didn't. I think you had I know third was Sasha Banks, then there was Serena Williams, and then Bianca Belair.
See, any of those names right there, Sasha Banks, Bianca Belair, and Serena Williams, I totally would say those are your athletes of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Not Simone Biles. Simone Biles took her ball, ran home, left her team hanging. That should not earn you Athlete of the Year. Of course, the same could be said for LeBron James, the human piece of garbage who has spent most of the season injured and then got COVID, bitched and moaned online, got reinstated before he was supposed to be reinstated, mind you. Only missed a couple of games. Got some fans ejected from the game because they were saying mean things about me. Probably making that up, too.
Probably.
I mean, and he is the most disliked guy on Twitter in the NBA. But, everybody's still, it's LeBron James. Oh, screw him. Ugh.
And it just goes back to, you could just tie this all the way back to the first topic that we talked about, the fact that 80% of Gen Zers napped on the job. I mean, you've got this generation that gets credit and promoted and gets rewarded for doing nothing. They're not doing anything. If anything, they're doing stuff that in the past your ass would get canned for. Your ass would get run out of the business. Like, you would be blacklisted. It would be like the biggest shame. And yet these people elevated. They're daring. They're brave. They're stunning.
That's right. Simone Biles is brave for standing up and saying,
I don't wanna.
I need a mental health day because I can't perform at my usual level. Which, I understand every athlete is going to have an off day, but you don't pull the rug out from underneath your team just of mere moments before you're supposed to hit the stage, hit the field, hit the court, hit whatever.
She knew she couldn't do it. That's why she did that. I mean, obviously she saw that she was not going to win and it was going to be humiliating. So it's better for her not to.
You know what? Take your lumps.
Yeah.
I mean,
but that's people are being, they're able to get out of it. They don't have to take their lumps. They don't have to,
I have played competitive sports throughout my life for almost 20 years and even played on a semi-professional level. And there was no way I was going to miss any game time unless I physically, mind you, could not go. And I'm talking if I had torn ligaments, if I had an MCL tear, if I had any type of physical injury and I was told you cannot play, I didn't play. But I still would try. Now, obviously, coaches most of the time wouldn't let me. Arrogant assholes.
When you compare them to people like The Undertaker, yeah, there's a drastic difference in these people.
See, if my body could not go, I didn't go. I would not play. But not once was me having self-doubt about whether or not I'm good enough or, needing a mental health day. That never factored into the equation at all.
Mm-mm.
For me, it was get your mind right, stop being an idiot, get out there, do the damn thing. But the generation behind just does not think like that. And
they're rewarded for not thinking that way.
Yeah, exactly. They are rewarded for thinking, oh, I can't do this.
Because I'm acknowledging my limitations.
You're
They're the most insane people. I swear, it's unbelievable. I mean, everything I ever was taught is it's like black is white, up is down, right is wrong. It makes no sense. I don't get it. I really don't. And you see a lot of what's being put out today, it's just worse. You've got one generation that doesn't give a crap. And then you've got the Gen Zers. They're just, they give up before even trying. At least millennials would step up and they'd bitch and complain. And, you had the helicopter parents. But hell, Gen Zers are like, no, I don't want to. And that's brave.
So brave.
So brave.
So brave. All right, so before we wrap it up, I've got one other quick little thing I want to kind of rant about. And Nikki, I know that you are not a big Redditor.
Nope.
I like to surf Reddit for stupid stuff. And there's a few subreddits that I subscribe to. And, as I mentioned, I was watching STD Discovery the other day. And I explained this on a previous episode. I watch it because I keep telling myself if I watch it, they'll make more Star Trek shows and maybe we'll land on a good one. And they kind of rewarded that type of thought process by giving us Star Trek Lower Decks. But I still subject myself to the STD every week when the new season is going. And for the life of me, I just couldn't wrap my head around one of these latest episodes. So I reached out to this community on Reddit, the subreddit Star Trek, and just asked a question, because the Star Trek that I grew up on, we asked questions. And in fact, in the Star Trek Deep Space Nine pilot episode, Benjamin Sisko would say that, we explore, we ask questions. Well, what happens when you run out of questions? We come up with new questions. So this is, something that I'm thinking like, hey, I'm going to ask a question and see if I can get a conversation going to see what I'm missing here. So I posted, I've watched every episode of Discovery and I've really tried to get behind it. Lifelong Trek fan, and as such, I felt an obligation to watch Discovery and other new Trek shows to do my part to keep the franchise alive. That being said, I cannot get behind Discovery. I am at a loss to pinpoint exactly what drives me nuts about it, other than the fact that somehow a mutineer who is directly responsible for the death of her captain is continuously rewarded for her bad behavior and eventually becomes the captain of a starship. And in every season, this character has a different outer shell with the same mindset and mentality, never showing genuine growth, just a different appearance. The hair is different in every season. The uniform is different in pretty much every season. She's gone from being cold to crying all the time to now smiling all the time. The rest of the cast seems underdeveloped, and there seems to be little to no genuine chemistry between them. Said, I enjoyed the DS9 approach of making their supporting cast members seem integral to the success of the main cast, giving us a deeper look into their roles. The way that Major Kira morphed through the show's run made her an amazing character, but I don't get that same type of feeling with STD. Can someone please objectively tell me what I am missing about this show? I'm really curious. And I get a couple of responses, but less than 10 minutes later, my post gets locked down. You can't comment, and you can't share it, follow it, save it, nothing. It got completely locked down by the moderators.
Why?
Well,
You didn't say anything bigoted or...
no. And the couple of people who were able to respond before the moderators locked it down said, you went in with the wrong expectations. Might just need to expect nothing, and then it's all bonus. One person said, I wish I could join you, but I struggle with it too. The main character, Michael Burnham, Spock's human sister that nobody ever knew about, is not Captain Material, and to make her so just seems so forced and fake. Now, mind you, Michael Burnham is played by Sonequa Martin Green from The Walking Dead.
And she was a total bitch in that. Ugh.
So your lead character is a black woman who was apparently orphaned and was raised with, the most legendary character in Star Trek, Spock. And we're supposed to believe that, he had this human sister all this time, and she is so much better than everybody around her. So, one person says shows are objective. You either like it or you don't. I'm more invested in the characters more than anything else, blah, 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 blah. But here's where the moderator came in. And I kid you not, 10 minutes after I posted this, saying, one of our rules is think for yourself. So no. And then they locked it down. Didn't offer up anything past that one line. Just think for yourself. Well, obviously, if you read my post, you dumb son of a bitch, you would have seen that I have put thought into this. Because I wrote quite the diatribe.
Yeah,
So
these people can't stand criticism, man. They can't take it.
What happened to asking questions and having the conversation? Because that's what Trek was all about.
Not anymore.
And I tried to reach out to this particular moderator personally and just say, hey, what gives, and you can't message them. They have their profile locked up to where you can't message them. You can't do anything. You can't interact with this person at all. They just come in and decide, you know what? I don't like that. You can't post. You can't share. You can't do this. And I've basically been locked out of that subreddit now. All because I asked a question as to why does STD continue to go by? I don't understand it. How do people actually like this show? Do people actually like this show?
I doubt they do. Isn't it already paid for? It's like it's already paid for. They just film it.
Well, apparently it is hanging on by a thread, and hopefully STD will be gone.
Thank God.
And we could get more lower decks. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Yeah.
Before I go, I wanted to let you know that, hey, we have a website now. It's unwokepod.com. That's right, unwokepod.com. There you can catch up on all the episodes and check out some videos. And maybe in the future, there will be some new surprises along the way as well. Something that you might enjoy. What could it be? I am thinking about launching some merch, and if you want some merch, let me know in the comments. Let me know on Twitter at TV's Rob Official if you would like some Unwoke merch, because I'm thinking of getting together with a friend of mine who does some designs and designing some shirts and everything. I think we can have a lot of fun with it. So, with that being said, check it out, unwokepod.com. Special thank you to my lovely, beautiful wife, Nikki. You can follow her on Twitter at DFW Radio Girly if you want to check out what she's got going on. Give her a follow. You won't regret it, okay? Also, subscribe to the show on all the major platforms and leave a 5-star review and some comments on Apple Podcasts. Let me know how I'm doing. Let me know what you'd like to hear. And just basically just lie and say, I'm great, I'm wonderful, and you love the show, and you want to hear more, because it'll help the show get discovered, apparently, even though the podcast game has changed so much that I can't even begin to explain it. It has changed so much. But hey, leave the 5-star and leave a review. Again, I want to thank you for taking the ride along with me today. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you next time. I'm TV's Rob. This is TV's Rob is Unwoke.